top 3 highlights include a major winter storm bringing heavy snow, ice, and some heavy rain to the eastern and southeastern United States. And we're going to take a look at the coldest temperatures of the season that continue across the United States and how cold those temperatures will continue to be throughout the rest of the week. And then we're going to look at the long range, look at early March and more winter storm activity that could bring even more severe weather to the United States as well on the warm side. We're going to be giving you all the details in this forecast. Those are the top 3 storylines. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I am only 693 subscribers away from 128,000. You all can help me get there today by subscribing to the channel if you're new, liking the video, give it a thumbs up, especially if you do like it and you find it informative, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I truly do appreciate it. Let's look here now at our temperature anomalies here in the heartland of the country. We are 50 degrees below normal today across much of the Ag Belt, all the way down even into the Lone Star State of Texas, if you can believe it. And looking here at our temperatures in the heartland, look at the north, up here in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, temperatures starting off this morning anywhere from 15 to as much as 35 degrees below zero. These are just your air temperatures. Our wind chills this morning, as we did wake up to wind chills around 50 degrees below zero, especially up there in the Dakotas and western Minnesota this morning. Now, heading into the afternoon, here are your temperatures as you head home from school and home from work. Notice we're going to see highs around the single digits, mostly above zero, but a couple areas in North Dakota and northern South Dakota still hanging on to those sub-zero, single digit sub-zero temperatures there. So definitely going to remain cold. And looking at those wind chills out there as you head home from work or school, we're going to be seeing wind chills around 10 to as much as 20 degrees below zero this afternoon. How about the western U.S.? Montana is the coldest area in the west here, especially even into eastern Wyoming and eastern Colorado. But Montana, we started off at minus 30, minus 35 here this morning Fahrenheit, and our wind chills around 50 to 55 degrees below zero. So very cold. Make sure to bundle up as you head outdoors today, further up to the north, and cover exposed skin. Wind chills like this can lead to frostbite in literally just a few minutes time. Now, as we go into the afternoon, we're going to warm up as well into Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, areas that started pretty cold. We're going to warm up again, similar to areas in the heartland, into the single digits, mostly above zero, but some of those highs into northeastern Montana, where we started around 35 degrees below zero, going to be struggling to reach even 0 degrees this afternoon, and our wind chills here will be around 30 degrees below zero this afternoon. So make sure, again, bundle up. Across the east, same deal. We got the single digits here for our lows, and above or below zero, mainly below zero here with the deeper snowpack from upstate New York into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Wind chills this morning here were around 15 to 20 degrees below zero. This afternoon, we're going to be seeing single digits to teens across portions of the Northeast, especially interior areas northwest of the I-95 corridor. More of the teens, low 20s across the Ohio Valley. If you want warm weather, yes, you go to the Sunshine State and southeast Florida in Miami and Daytona Beach, getting well into the 80s this afternoon. Now let's look at our winter storm that continues to wreak havoc across the southeast and the eastern seaboard. This is bringing some snow across West Virginia, here into southern Maryland, southern Delaware, and mostly northern portions of North Carolina. So this is bringing snow. Snow is in blue. In the pink and purple, that is sleet and or freezing rain, and in the greens here in yellows, especially where you see the yellows, that's moderate rain, and that continues to fall across mostly South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Now, as we go into the afternoon, we're going to see this continue to trudge its way further off to the east. Heavier snows, though, for northeastern North Carolina, coastal Virginia, into southern Maryland and Delaware there, around an inch per hour snow rates, and that'll continue largely into this evening. It will take until around midnight or thereafter to see the final precipitation, or at least the main body of the precipitation, moving offshore. But on the backside, there's enough cold air. As we go into Thursday, we actually may see some snow squalls back here, even as far west as Ohio, into West Virginia, into portions of Pennsylvania and western New York there. So be keeping an eye on that. And a hefty lake effect snow band here across northwest Indiana and southwestern Michigan, downwind of Lake Michigan on Thursday. That could produce some hefty snow in that lake effect snow band as well. So looking at the snowfall accumulation, what is left to come through your Friday morning here at this point, through Friday, February 21st, looking at a couple of inches of snow for parts of West Virginia, Virginia here into northeastern North Carolina, southern Maryland here, and then looking at around up to a foot of snow up into northwestern Indiana and southwestern Michigan. That's downwind of Lake Michigan as we have the cold winds moving over a relatively warmer Lake Michigan. It's not a warm body of water by any means, but it's warmer than the air surrounding it. So that is why we are having that lake effect snow band up in those areas. Now we are continuing to contend with some ice down here in eastern North Carolina. Around a quarter of an inch of ice can still be expected in some areas. So some scattered power outages may be possible here as we head through the Friday time frame, and then heavier rains with all liquid precipitation further off to the south into mostly South Carolina, Myrtle Beach down to Charleston, Savannah, Georgia, southern Georgia there as well. Southeastern Alabama and much of north central Florida from Panama City to Tallahassee, Gainesville, Orlando, and up there toward Jacksonville. We could be seeing some heavier rains on the order of a ½ inch to an inch here as we go through Friday. Let's look at the western United States. We have another winter storm that's moving in with heavy snows in the Cascades and northern California. Heavy coastal rains from Seattle down here toward Portland as we go through today. That'll continue largely as we go into tonight. A lot of that precip will be moving into Idaho, western Montana, into Wyoming, northern Nevada, northern Utah. A lot of this will be snow in the higher elevations with a lot of the cold air out there, and then we'll continue to see that continue to train in with snow into Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado now as we go into Thursday for tomorrow. And this could bring some decent snows, some few inches to several inches of snow, especially the heaviest over here into Utah, southwest Wyoming, and much of Colorado there near the Denver area, where we could be seeing upwards to a foot of snow in some of these areas. And then looking here at the rainfall accumulation, Seattle down to Portland, Medford, Eugene, and Oregon could be seeing up to an inch of rain out here. Definitely seeing some decent rainfall totals as we close out the week. Now, for those of you that are wondering, why am I not showing the central U.S.? Well, there's just simply nothing going on here, but I will show it. There's nothing. We're going to continue to scroll. Outside of lake effect snow bands, Lake Michigan, we're just really not seeing much happening over the next 48 hours here in the central U.S. So that's exactly why I don't talk about some of these areas and some of your states over a period of time, just because there's nothing happening outside of the cold air. Now, as we go here and talk about the polar vortex, it is in our backyard still as we go into Friday, but it's retreating further to the north Saturday and then into Sunday. Notice it's still stretching, so that's going to lead to some colder air, especially in the eastern U.S. as we go into the weekend, and that's exactly what we do see here on the map. So in the eastern U.S., we're going to see colder air than normal. Western U.S., we're moderating our temperatures. Western Canada now, that ridge of high pressure coming back, and that means we're going to start to see some warmer temperatures across British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and into Manitoba, the provinces there of southern and southwestern Canada. Definitely going to be warming up as we go into the weekend. Now, we are tracking a couple of northwest flow type of clipper systems as we go into the weekend. Nothing that's going to bring a lot of problems, but definitely some snow chances across the Great Lakes and southern Canada here, especially Saskatchewan into Manitoba as we go into Sunday. Early Monday morning, that could clip areas of northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, or the UP of Michigan with some rain and or snow showers. Most of the accumulating snow will be occurring more into western and southern Ontario with a couple of inches there. You can see we are seeing some hefty rain, a new system coming in across the west coast as well. For the weekend, could be giving us another 1 to 3 inches of rain on top of what we see late this week for Seattle, Portland, Eugene, Medford, maybe even as far south as northwest California. A little bit of moisture for coastal Texas as well. Houston, Galveston down to Corpus Christi. Could be seeing around an inch of rainfall there too. And then here's the snow track. Higher elevation snow, mainly for British Columbia. A little bit for the Cascades in Washington State and the Rockies there in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. Otherwise, that clipper system track could give us around 1 to 3 inches of snow there, a fluffy snow from Saskatchewan into Manitoba and Ontario, the upper Great Lakes region, as we go through the weekend. Now let's look at the global view, because it's important to look at the weather patterns globally to understand why we see our weather here locally in the United States. And you can see as we go through this week, the polar vortex is working with us to give us the colder air. In Asia, it is warmer. We're going to do a 180 on the weather pattern as we go into next week, right? We're not going to see the polar vortex influencing our weather anymore. We're going to see a ridge of high pressure that is all the way up into Alaska next week, and that is going to be giving us warmer air. First out west and then shifting east as we go through next week. And notice Asia starts to cool down. So a complete 180 in our weather pattern, and that's exactly what we see on the maps as well. Here's the Euro ensemble guidance, and you can see the 12Z Monday, February 24th through 12Z Saturday, March 1st. We're going to see warmer air starting out west, going into the central U.S., and then eventually sweeping eastward. Now, it's not going to be the warmest of air. This is definitely going to be moderating warmth, but it'll be warmer than what we definitely have been going through. And looking here at the jet stream orientation, we are going to be seeing more northwest to southeast oriented storms. So they're going to start up here in the Pacific Northwest or Southwest Canada and dive down our jet stream. This is our highway for storms into the eastern U.S. here. And looking at the European model for next week, we have a lot of active weather across the northern U.S., and it's going to slip down that jet stream. We are keeping an eye on a more mature winter storm that could develop here for interior sections of the Northeast, according to the European model. That could give us a few inches of snow late next week on Thursday, February 27th, and Friday, February 28th. We'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, another clipper system for the start of March there. And then looking at the GFS model, very active as well to the north. It does agree, and we have a couple clipper systems, but watch late next week. GFS digs a low pressure down a little bit further to the south, bringing snow further south into the lower Ohio River Valley and Tennessee Valley with heavy rains across the Dixie Alley region. And then it has more of a coastal low that could bring a nor'easter here on the GFS for the I-95 corridor. Now, again, we're not holding our breath on it. Absolutely not. But there are disagreements in the models here. So we don't know which model to trust right now. We're just going to have to wait and see as we get closer into next week the track of the storm, and that will determine snow amounts and where they happen. So looking here at the European model, has the heavy snow from coastal Maine down here into southern New Hampshire, southern Vermont, western Massachusetts, central and southern New York, back into northern Pennsylvania. Hefty snow amounts with the GFS model, more widespread and more close to the coast. So the I-95 corridor, Boston, New York City, more into the Poconos there, into Pennsylvania, down to the Appalachians of West Virginia, northern Virginia, all the way down to eastern Tennessee, could see some heavy snowfall if the GFS model was right. But again, there's still disagreements in the storm track, and that will influence snow amounts and just which areas see the heaviest snow as we go into later next week. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. Looking at early March, we are going to continue to see a pattern where we have a ridge of high pressure spiking all the way north into the Aleutian Islands and Alaska, western Canada for Yukon, British Columbia, and the Northwest Territories. And what that will do is give us some cross-polar flow. Now, next week and into early March, the polar vortex is not going to have too much of an effect on our weather pattern. It's going to be the cross-polar flow from Canada and our snowpack that's going to continue to keep us cold in the central and eastern U.S. And much of the lower 48 will result cooler from that pattern from March 1st through around the March 8th time frame from mostly our snowpack. Notice areas in the plains that don't have a lot of snowpack, especially into the northern plains, we're going to be more apt to warming up quicker, right? Into the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Nebraska, and Iowa, areas that don't have a lot of snowpack. But out west, we have a lot of snowpack, right? Into the Cascades, the Rockies, and the Sierras. And we have a lot of snow in the northeast on the ground in the Ohio Valley now. So that just means our temperatures will be cooler into early March, and it's going to be an active weather pattern. I mean, we're going to be seeing more winter storm potential even into early March. A lot of green on the map here, and green means active weather. Brown essentially means drier and less active weather. We don't see a lot of brown on the maps. So looking at the 7-day precipitation output, again, this is taken with a grain of salt, but you get an idea here. Active weather in the east, heavier rain and severe weather setups again for Dixie Alley in the southeast, perhaps as far north as the Ohio River Basin and into the mid-Atlantic, and then more snow setups, this time further north into March as we have a higher sun angle for one, and it's just typically warmer in early March for climatology. So we have more snow further north into the northern plains, the upper Midwest, areas that haven't seen a lot of it will get more introduced for snow potential, and then the Northeast continuing to feast off the snow, and southeastern Canada for Ontario, Quebec, back as we go into the early March timeframe. We'll continue to keep you covered here on all things weather, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are only 693 people away from 128,000. You want to help me get there? Make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Like the video. Also, share this video with friends, family, and on social media, especially if you do find it informative. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns about the weather, whether it's the winter storm, the cold weather, or your early March outlook. I'll continue to answer your questions here on this video. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Wednesday out there.